Hei og velkommen til denne sesjonen med CADshare. Hvis du ikke har vært med tidligere, så er det mulighet i GoToWebinar-applikasjonen å stille spørsmål, og så vil vi svare underveis, eller samle de opp til slutten. I dag har vi med oss Chris Atchison, som er sjefen selv i CADshare, og meg, Markus Gundersen, i NTI. CADshare det er et selskap som ble etablert i UK, i Irland, i 2014. Og det er et fokusert team med ingeniører og utviklere. De er ganske aktive i UK selvfølgelig, og i Norge og i Tyskland. I Norge så er NTI partner, og NTI er for så vidt også den eneste partneren til CADshare. De har kunder innenfor minedrift, agrikultur, maritim equipment og olje og gass, samt konstruksjonsutstyr og process and plant. Det som kjennetegner 3 suksessfulle kunder hos CADshare er at de leverer utstyr som har høy verdi, sånn at ikke bare utstyret byttes ut, typisk vaskemaskin, men utstyr som har reservedeler. Det er kunder som har press på at utstyret skal fungere hele tiden, at kosten av å ha nedetid er alt for høy, og kunder som typisk har utstyr i tøffe conditions, som det heter på engelsk. Det handler om, det er en ny type plattform der kundene rett og slett navigerer seg i modellen eller produktet de har kjøpt fra dere, og bestiller da de reservedelene som trengs. Fordelene med det er jo selvfølgelig at det går mye fortere for kunden å finne hvilken del han skal ha. Han kjenner igjen maskinen sin og vet hvor reservedelen sitter. Klikk og place order og bestill i utgangspunktet. 3 gode referansekunder som alle egentlig mener det samme om CADshare. Litt forskjellig sitat, men det går fort å implementere, og det vedlikeholder og bygger sterkere tilknytning til forhandlerne og kundene. Ser vi på selve eller prosessen fra CAD-modell til kundene bestiller deler, så er det ikke veldig mye arbeid hvis du sammenligner med at du skal lage en spare parts list og legge det med i manualen som du skriver ut og sender på pall. Så har kunden tilgang til modellen rett på webplattformen. Det tar 5 minutter for CADshare å gjøre om CAD-modellen til noe lesbart for kunder. Normalt 2 til 3 timer å sette opp grensesnittet og experience til sluttkundene deres. Og lage forskjellige view og kanskje bedre title og description hvis de på engineering har vært litt slappe med den. Og så kan du samle sammen alt det her og lage de forskjellige manualene som du trenger da, i CADshare. Og så er det egentlig bare å ta imot ordre døgnet rundt. Så kan kunden deres bestille, akkurat som en webbutikk. Når det er bestilt, så får du varsel, og det er egentlig bare å shippe produktet. Grensesnittet vil typisk, eller ordrebekreftelsen vil se sånn ut. Chris kommer til å vise det live etterpå. Men fordelene er at, som jeg nevnte innledningsvis, at det er veldig lett å finne igjen parter, riktig pris, alltid tilgjengelig og alltid riktig, noe vi trenger fremover i verden. Resten av sesjonen vil foregå på English, so that's your cue, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Markus. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to show a live demo of the software in action, but before we do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the data structure within CADshare itself, because what we find is that it will answer a lot of your questions that you potentially may have in advance. So CADshare is a cloud-based environment, and we take in both parts data and CAD data. And the first thing that we do in our implementation is build up a master parts data database within our system. So that can come from your ERP system. It can come through Excel spreadsheets. It can even be built from CAD models if necessary. But what that allows us to do is to have a single master record for each part number in your system and one in your business. And what that then allows us to do is enrich that data with other data to, you know, add automation, implement workflows, etc., etc. So the sort of things that we look at, parts in the master parts data is defined by the part number, and then of course we have part descriptions, and they can be in multi-languages. So our user interface is available in French, German, and English, and we can have part descriptions in any language that you choose to put in there. When we start talking about ERP integration, then obviously this is where this data would come into stock level, for example, price data, and then other aftermarket type data. So this is where we can set up kits and options and superseded parts. So the beauty of doing it in this way is when we change it at the master part level here, that will automatically translate through all your models or in the system, or all your parts data. So you do it once and it replicates through everything. Markus, do you want to hit the button there? So then the next part we do is bring in the engineering content. So that can be 3D models, and we support all the major brands, Autodesk, Inventor, of course, and also generic files like STEP or JT files. And we take them through the Autodesk Forge APIs. So the CAD models are uploaded into our system via Forge. Forge translates it into a viewable, you know, a web viewable format, and allows us to extract certain metadata, and then that becomes available in our system, which is a fully cloud web-based system. So at that point we take out the geometry and we take out the part number, and that can be an engineering part number. You know, sometimes the part numbers in the CAD model are a little bit different to the part numbers in the ERP model, and we can have a mapping layer to do that. But fundamentally what we then do is automatically link the CAD data, so parts or assemblies in the CAD data, to the master parts data. And then if you want to hit the button, Markus, we also can finally bring in some customer or dealer data. So this can be set up to deal directly to your end user, or it can be set up in a chain where you may have a dealer or a distributor in various countries, and it can be managed through that way. Now you can set up different users in there. You can specify specific discounts for different people, and it's also a place where your customers and dealers and you can see all the quotes, all the inquiries, all the orders in the system. And we wrap that all together into our remote customer support portal, which is fundamentally about secure 3D part identification. We do support 2D PDFs as well. It's a customized ordering process, so it's a very flexible system that can be configured to match how you probably do business today. And we can also include maintenance information in there as well, and operation manuals, etc. And that's about it. We do when we go through the implementation process, we do a phased rollout. So the first part of that is to get your content creation and data implementation on there. So that's onboarding all your CAD data for your different machines and all your spare parts data. This is typically how customers tend to roll it out. Then they'll release that to their customers or their dealers, and have a manual ordering process where a customer can create an inquiry. It'll come through to you as a quote, and you can provide pricing back, and then they can place an order on the system. And then eventually we can get, or straight away, depending on how you want to look at it, we can get into full integration with ERP, so that you know, data entry, multiple data entries avoided, and all the purchasing and all that sort of stuff is automated. So without any further ado, I'll jump in and give a demo now. Can you see that okay, Markus?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, great. So the first thing I'm going to do is log in as a customer. So this would be what your customers would see when they log into the system. This it's a white. The system can be white labeled. So it would have your branding on here, but the customer comes in and they get access to a tile for every piece of equipment of yours that they have purchased. So I think that's quite important. They don't get just access to all your data. They only get access to what you have given them. So if you manufacture equipment for a plant, maybe it's typically more project based, you can just publish that project to your customer. If there's customization in there, etc., then that means that your customer is only seeing exactly what they ordered. Or if it's a dealer, you can just simply publish everything to them. There's search tools in here to allow them to, break down into find out what they need to very quickly. You can search by product name, you can search by serial number, which is here. You can also navigate through by using these tabs up here, which would associate different types of equipment. So you can very quickly and very easily find the part that the equipment that you need to identify parts for. And then you can click the view button and that will take you into the 3D content. So this is the 3D model of, this is just a conveyor, and you have full, you can configure this how you want to, so you don't necessarily have to upload the whole model of your machine. You can upload it in smaller sub-assemblies, or you can upload the whole machine. Our customers do a mix of both, just whatever suits them. On the left-hand side, so sorry, in the main viewer here, we have this is the model, and this is just running my web browser on a normal office laptop. It's not a CAD machine, and so the customer can rotate and they can zoom in and out, and they can click on items. And when we click on an item, we get information about that in here. So we get a part number, we get a description, and as I said earlier, that description can be in different languages depending on what they've chosen. And they can get stock, and they can also get price. This currently isn't configured. This example isn't configured for price, but they could also get a price in here as well. And I can pop that into my basket. On the left-hand side here is various ways that we can our customers can navigate down through the system, through the assemblies. So for example, if we were looking for some of the internal parts, we can look at this remove frame, and we can also ghost hidden parts. So here we have like a skeleton view. If we come in here, we can ghost so that there's a faint outline on the rest of the machine that's hidden, to give some context, but nothing can be selected that is hidden. So you can still select the parts that are visible, and pop that into the basket, which is very useful sometimes to give some context. Some of the more advanced features that we have would be around kits, for example. So if a part is selected that is available as a kit, you can see here I can either buy that part individually here, or I can see that it's also available as a kit. So if I view that, it tells me what the kit is, the description of it. It can show me all the parts that are in that kit, and I can pop them into that basket. And because you're creating those kits in your master parts data, when you create it once, that will filter through all your CAD, all your published manuals like this. So you only do it once, and it will appear in all your models where that part is available. We can also define assemblies that can be purchased. So say, for example, this is a spray bar here, and this is a poly tube. So say that tube had a crack in it, it needs replaced. I click on it, I can see I can buy the spray bar, but I can also see that it's available as an assembly. So if I click that, I can see actually I can buy this whole thing pre-assembled as one part number. And as a maintenance guy, that's probably I'd probably think hard about that, because it only really means taking off a couple of nuts to replace that, rather than having to strip off the fittings and fixtures just to replace the poly bar. So I'll pop that into my basket. We also allow you to set up options for parts. So if I click this part, I can see over here I get a part number and description, but it's also asking me to specify a color in this case. So you have a full control over the question that's asked and then what appears in the drop down. So I'll take a blue one this time, and I'll add that into my basket. So once you've done all that, and you're happy with what you've identified, you can place the order. Out of the box, there's an inquiry, quotation, order workflow. So you can see at the minute there's no price in here. There's some stock information for parts that we have that information in the system for. We just select the address. We can create a new address, name and number, and a requested delivery date. And in here we can still remove things from the basket. We can manually add a part. So if I want to add some parts, and I kind of know what the part numbers are, I don't necessarily want to go through a 3D model to be able to select it. I can come in here and I can add a part number. And pop it into the basket as well. And then simply submit that as an inquiry, and that's now become an inquiry here in my system. So we're now in the orders part of the system. So we can see how many inquiries I've got. So I can see this has been submitted. It's now pending. So I'm waiting for the manufacturer, you to send me back some pricing. I can have a look at my quotations, where I've had pricing back and in stock, and I've had delivery date. There's also comments, so we can add comments either at the top order level, or we can add a comment for a specific item in the inquiry if you have any questions, or the customer's not quite sure if they've ordered the right part. You can see that this order is actually a split order. So when the inquiry originally came in, most of the parts were in stock. This one wasn't, so we split them out into two separate orders, two separate quotes, and you can see a link back to the original one. So this is still an existing one that we all have in stock. They're all in stock, so we can get that out the door. There's the part that's been moved to the other part, the other quote, which is going to take a little bit longer. So that can, the customer can order those separately and allow you to process the parts that you've got in system. And through the live orders, where the customer has put in a purchase order and that's been shipped. You can see there's a timeline, etc. down here. The other part we can do here is part search. So again, if the customer wants to find parts, so we can come in here and search by a part number, and that will return all the parts that I've requested there. And again, you can add them straight into your basket. You can also search by part description. So say I'm looking for a roller for the conveyor. If I could type. There's all the rollers that have come in here, and again we can pop those into the basket. So at a fairly high level, that's the customer side. You can see it's very quick and easy for them to pick up and use. It works on a tablet. It works on a phone as well. So it's pretty much anywhere where they can get a Google Chrome browser. It works. So we have customers use it in the office. We have customers that take a tablet out beside the machine and identify and order parts. So I'll just sign out now, and I'll sign back in as a manufacturer, which is where this is your side of the application. So you can see, first of all, we've come straight into the orders page. So this is the inquiry that I just created. So again, this is live. It's not on my laptop. It's running in the cloud. You can see the orders come in straight away. We can view that inquiry. We have pricing data in the system. So I think I mentioned earlier the way we configure the system is very very flexible. So in this case, we've set it up where we have price data in our system, but maybe I, as a manufacturer, just want to check it before we formally give the pricing to that customer. So this has come to me. The customer hasn't seen this yet. I can see the prices that are in the system. I can give those a sanity check. There's one part that doesn't have a price in the system, so we can pop that in. We can change the currency, and there's another one, and then over here we can add a discount. If you don't add a discount, it won't be shown to the customer as a blank space, just it won't be shown at all. And we can put in the shipping estimate as well. We can add any notes that we want to here, and again we can split the order, save it as a draft code, or just simply generate that as a quote, and that will go through to the customer now with all that pricing in place. And then move through the system pricing, and again this can be integrated with your ERP system, so that this information can be sent to the ERP system. The pricing can be pulled in from the ERP system, and your existing engineering systems can work in concert with CADshare. Now if I just go into the products here, this is where we upload and build the 3D experiences. So if I just find that that conveyor that we just looked at, and we view it, so you can see here it's very similar to what we saw in the customer view, except we have a lot more functionality over here. So we have the model tree, which allows us to create these 3D experiences very quickly. So for example, we can turn things on and off. So if you just wanted a snapshot with just the frame, simply turning those bits off, and adding a new snapshot and giving it a name. You can see there's a difference here in the white background here and the blue background here. So you can configure exactly what color is shown in the background. I just have this set to blue from a previous demonstration, but if I set that to white, then it'll flow through here as well. You can set whatever color you want in the background. If you want to do more detailed exploded drawings, you can use the explode function, which will radially explode parts, or you can use the translate function, which allows us to select multiple components. If I hold down the control key, I can select multiple components and just pull those across. And we can do that on both sides. And pull those out and just add that. We can now save that as a snapshot, and the location of those parts will be maintained. If you click on the part, we can see the details down here, so we can edit the part number if we need to, but also you can see the part description. The part description is managed through the master parts area where that data is available. So if for example, if we change that part, so if this part's been superseded by a new part, and that part is in our master parts section, if we just change the part number here and save that, the new description will be pulled through and your customer will see that instantly. Down the right hand side is just where we create the things that we talked about, that we showed you in the customer side. So the kits, the options, links we didn't talk about. So you can create a link to, if I preview this as a customer, you can create a link to between viewables, and we can do 3D or 2D viewables. So for example, this is a bad example, but I've just set this up so you can see how it works. If I click on the belt, and being told it takes us to a different viewable, so I can have a look at that. And in this case, it's taken us to a pump diagram. So for whenever you have some bought in parts, maybe it's a pump, maybe it's a gearbox, maybe it's something else you don't have 3D data for, but you do have 2D content from the manufacturer of that piece of equipment that's on your piece of equipment. It would typically be handled this way. So the customer can come in here, they can identify the part that they need, and over here they can specify a quantity and add that into the basket. And like I say, that can be linked to a 3D block within the model. We can also deal with superseded parts. So if you have an assembly in this model that gets updated or superseded, you, instead of having to upload the whole model again, you can simply lock the component in here and link it to the new, lock the assembly in here and link it to the new version of the part, and that will be, they'll be brought through to that. And that actually, one thing I didn't show you is that we can lock items. So say for example, it's probably not a realistic scenario, but say you only sold that frame as a single part. At the minute we can choose any part in there. If we just click the lock symbol here, then no matter what part I select on that frame, it'll select that whole thing. So, and that will be replicated by your customer. So they can only select those parts and add those parts, select that assembly no matter where they click, and add that into the basket. Some of the settings we have down here, so we can turn edging on and off. So at the minute edging's on for this, which obviously makes it a lot clearer. We can put it into line drawing mode, which some of our customers use just because it simulates a traditional PDF. All the same functionality is there, but it just looks like the way customers are sort of used to looking at paper. And you can also lock the view. So if you want to lock the view to stop your customer rotating things so that they can only zoom in and out, then you can do that here as well. Totally up to yourself how you handle that. Publications is where you bring everything together. So you can bring together any number of 3D models and any number of 2D content and maintenance information and publish that in a model to a specific customer. So the pop-up comes up, you just choose what data you want in there and who you want to assign it to. So you can select what customers that you want in the list just to see that, and it'll be published automatically. There's a publish status here. You can unpublish it if you want to take it offline for whatever reason, and republish it, and that happens instantaneously. Parts is where we manage the parts that we talked about earlier, the master parts database. In here, it's descriptions, inventory management. That's where we create our kits, etc., etc. Customers are where you set up your own customers. So you set up the company, and they can have a number of users underneath that company. And each of them will get their own login, and then you can track who's accessing and what they're buying, etc., etc. Admin is generally where you put in, you set up your own customers, your own internal users. You can change things like your email signature. You can change your background color here. You can change the logo that's showing up here. And finally, just some security features. So we obviously take security very seriously. We've implemented a number of features that at your discretion you can implement or not. So you can implement multi-factor authentication, where the customer has to enter in a 6-digit code that they'll get from their Google app before getting access to the system. We can alert you based on login locations. So if you have a customer who is in Australia and suddenly that account is used to access from somewhere like the UK or China or anywhere else, we'll instantly lock that account out and notify you, and you can then enable it or re-enable it. You can get daily access reports, so you can see who's logging in, who's looking at what. We'll soon have dashboards in the system to allow you to just get a better snapshot of your business, particularly perhaps customers that are logging in to have a look at some to identify some parts, but maybe not buying, not converting through to an order. So there's an opportunity there to engage with them at the right time. and see if you can help them. And you can also put a watermark on the viewer, so you maybe just want your logo on the viewer to protect for screenshots and things like that. And that, Marcus, is I probably went through that quite quickly, but that was pretty much all I wanted to show.
Yep, it's for me, I think the part where you show assemblies instead of one part to help the service guys just remove the whole assembly and change 4 screws rather than the whole whole tube and other stuff. It will help your customers, and it will help you increase your revenue in the aftermarket business. That's mainly what I think is the absolute best, and even a web viewer that works in Tesla. So if your customers are in a hurry, they can order spare parts in the Tesla.
And also, I mean, what we're seeing particularly now is, you know, it's a cloud-based system, so it's resilient. You know, all of our customers were able to continue delivering spare parts throughout their COVID-19 challenges. So, you know, other parts of the organization were totally shut down, but they could still receive parts. They could still communicate with their customers, even if they could even bring in engineering help if the engineers are at home, you know, can't get into the office, the customers at home, et cetera, but they're still able to work through those problems.
Yeah. We have 2 questions here, Chris. Is it possible to embed the CADshare into an existing web page? That would be possible, but I don't think it's smart, because then you...
So what we can do, if for example you have an existing dealer portal or something like that, we can have a single sign-on process where they would seamlessly come into our system, which would be branded as the manufacturer. So the customer wouldn't come to a CADshare; they would still come to the OEM's system as far as they're aware. But it can't be so, and we can do custom URLs and forwarding, et cetera. So we can simulate that it's embedded in an existing web page. A lot of our customers, if they have an existing web page that's spare parts related, they embed a button in there that or a form, you know, with login, so they log in on the OEM's website, and that just feeds through the tokens given past the R system and takes them seamlessly through into ours.
Yeah. Okay, good. Second question is, can it be configured for viewing parts without logging in?
It can do, yeah, it can do. So I suppose the challenges there are we don't know who's looking, so there's more of an onus on the customer to dig through. It depends how many pieces of equipment or how much data you have. But if we don't know them, they'll get access to everything, and then they'll just have to use their own, you know, search through it to find what they need to find. But perfectly doable.
Good. Then it's quite quiet in the questions log. Yeah. I think we will just hang around a few more minutes. If people hvis dere ønsker å stille flere spørsmål, så kan dere gjøre det på norsk også, og så skal jeg oversette til Chris og sånn. Men vi blir her litt til, og så hvis dere har noe dere lurer på, ta kontakt eller still spørsmål her. Right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. I don't know how long we should just hang around, but it's still nearly half of them are still in here, so maybe they left their desk or they are waiting for us to say something funny. I don't know.
I'll leave that to you.
Yeah. Cheers. Okay, seems like most of them have left now, and then we leave as well.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you very much for your time, Chris.
No problem. Thank you for hosting.
And there are 2 questions suddenly popped in. The cost, Audun, we will come back to you with the cost. Or do you have a slide on the cost now, Chris?
No, I don't. Not in.
We'll give you a call, Audun. And another question, is there an existing library of parts that are widely used in the industry?
No, there is not. Generally, because everyone tends to have their own part number, so even though they're using the same part, like a filter would be an obvious example. Everyone uses the same filter, but they'll all have their different part numbers. So we don't have a link to, you know, the supplier part number.
Oh. So it's if the OEMs have a CADshare platform, then it would be possible if the filter OEM had the spare parts on and you have access, then you would have access to the standard components.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then Chris, I think we are set.
Sounds good.
Just wait 1 more minute in case.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to call us or leave us a note, anyone at NTI or directly with Chris you're choosing. Vi har kompetanse på CADshare i NTI Norge. Både Stig Bakketun og Jørgen Bjørnes er gode, kompetente folk på det her. Right, Chris?
Okay.
Yeah, good. Thank you
Sounds
very
good.
much.
Okay.
See you the next time the planes are going or whatever.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.